I'm doing this for a reason, you know that, right? The filling up of the cup. It's nice to have a full cup. I got up this morning and I made my tea. I like tea, and I fix it to taste sort of like coffee, you know, cream, and I put a little bit of honey in it. But you know, when that's nice and hot and full, boy, that first sip, it tastes really good. And you know, I'm going somewhere in God with this, right? The Bible tells us that we can obtain a place in the Spirit with God. It tells us that it's for all those who are saved, even to those who are afar off. This cup is filled with the Spirit of God. You know how a person walks into a room and how that the spirit that they carry sort of rubs off? I'll be talking to my wife, and all of a sudden something will come out of her. Sounds like her sister. And I'll say, "How's your sister doing anyway?" You know, and she'll tell me. And I know that she's been talking to her sister that day, you know, because our spirits, they rub off. And God is the same way. The Lord's Spirit rubs off extremely, but it has to be something that you want to happen. That spirit of that one who impresses your heart, if you get in God's presence and His presence impresses your heart, then that spirit will rub off on you. Anyone that you admire. This fellow, I had this girl one time, and she went hanging around some fellow that would always do a certain gesture, you know, yeah, like this, and everything that I mean, the guy had done this 20, 30 times a day, and he had a personality. Now, and I told my friend, I said, "Look," I said, your girlfriend's been messing around with this guy, man." I said, "I can tell, because she was giving it this, you know." I mean, that thing which she admired had rubbed off on her so much that it was telling on her. So, you know, he was a friend of mine, and I kind of liked him, and you know, it sort of rubbed off on me, but not in the way that it did her. You know what I'm saying? So the Spirit from God is an extreme measure, man. You know, I wrote my cousin the other day, and I said, you know, I'm just a Jesus freak. I says, I love Him with all my heart, and I go out and look for things to rub off onto me in the Spirit, from the Spirit of the Lord to the Spirit of me, that I may become more like Him every day. And the Lord gave me this dream about a royal chalice. If you know what that is, it's a huge cup. It's this cup that I saw, this dream, man. It was 2.5 feet wide and probably 3 feet tall, solid gold of about 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches thick. And the cup it had a little smaller cup on the bottom, which you would take it off and set the cup down on the floor, and then you could dip the cup from the top, because when you took the small one off, it had a flat bottom. So otherwise this cup had to be held or set into a special particular place, otherwise it would turn over because of the rounded part on the bottom of the cup, which came loose from the bottom. So what this is we get so much of the Spirit of God rubs off onto us. Now, God has a spirit that this Spirit of God, you can hand it out to other folks. When they get into your presence, this Spirit will rub off from you onto them. Like when Moses, he came down from the mountain, his face shone, and he didn't know that it was shining because he was in the presence of God with His Spirit. His cup was filled up. And he came down the mountain, and he stayed away from the Lord in the presence of His men, and slowly, the Bible said, his light went out. You know, his cup was becoming empty. And this is the best way I can tell it, you know. I don't have biblical reference that I know of that can say that's exactly what happened to Moses, but I know this is the exact way that the spiritual things of God works. They call this church a filling station. So sometimes, the thing about a filling station, you have to keep going back and getting refilled. Because I've been a Christian long enough to know that if I don't get in the presence of God every once in a while, man, I'm just going to be depleted of this light in my life. It doesn't just stay there. And common sense can tell us that, even as we saw in Moses, that the light eventually went out. Okay, so this is a cup that has to keep being refilled. Now, a lot of you ministers out there, God has given you this same cup, or one similar to it, that you can go out and you can refill, and you can proportion out. I don't care if you have 10,000 people. All you need is one cup. Because just like when Jesus fed the multitude, that little bit that they had, those 5 loaves and 2 fishes, fed 5,000 people. Now this is enough to feed every one of those people. If you have 10 million people, you can still feed them out of that one cup. As long as you can get them into the sound of your voice, you can still feed them with this one cup. And when it's like the daughter of Jairus. Jesus was going there to heal this girl, the daughter of Jairus. And I'm thinking about the cup. And on his way, this woman snuck up behind Jesus, and she pressed through the crowd from behind, and she touched the hem of his garment. And Jesus' light dimmed like this, light went down, came back up, and Jesus felt virtue go out of him. He felt it. And it's like short-circuiting a 440-volt circuit. It was easy to tell for Jesus. He was there where the power was coming out from. He could tell, man, his battery got drained a little bit, because he said, virtue has gone out of me. And he knew it, And no, I don't think anybody totally understands that virtue that Christ obtained. I don't think that's a virtue that was so easily dispelled as a short circuit. Not like that. But Jesus knew when something had touched him, and that virtue had gone out. Now this is the same with us, okay? But now Jesus said like this: some had come by much prayer and fasting. So the harder things we have to get deeper into, and like the woman, our faith is made whole. Our faith has made us whole. And because we believed in this virtue of Christ, we believed in this power of God that we obtained. This is a spiritual thing that we can go, and the spirit is more than the physical. Spirit is more than the physical. I know I'm dwelling in an area where not many people go, and just like Einstein did, I've got a lot of you lost. Okay, so God has given me these simple illustrations to try to tell you about how this power of God works. Then this lady that pressed in and took a hold of this, that simply drained a little bit of Jesus' cup. Okay, so, and that's what we need to do. We need to get a hold of this power of God. And just like Christ did every day, he went back and filled his cup. That's what I'm talking about. See, you ministers, you're lax on God. You have nothing because your cup is run out. It's been run out for years, and you haven't bothered going filling it up. Well, the filling station is still there. God hasn't gone anywhere. We just need to keep going back and filling up our cup. Listen, I have determined to stay before God every day the rest of my life. I will read his word, I will pray, and I will fast as the Lord allows me to fast, and I will stay before God every day the rest of my life. You ministers out there, you are called to this. God will strengthen you. If you don't have it within you, if there's something to hold you back, pray until he gives way. God will make a way for you to serve him in the manner in which he desires. Alrighty? Okay, God bless. Thank you for joining. We'll see you again next time. Another great message right here across the middle ministry.